Welcome to rSlash Am I the Butthole, where OP's father steals $250,000 from him. Today's video is sponsored by ExpressVPN. So when I sat down to figure out what to say for today's sponsor, ExpressVPN, I was thinking, do I want to talk about unlocking shows on streaming services like Netflix? Do I want to talk about enhanced privacy? Do I want to talk about unlocking video games that I don't have access to because they haven't been released in the US yet? But then I thought, why pick just one topic? There are literally so many reasons why you would want to use a VPN in 2021. I mean, me, personally, I pretty much use all the available features. As a professional YouTuber, my life is already pretty public, so I try to be careful about my data, and that's why I like ExpressVPN because it protects my privacy. Also, my wife and I watch Netflix pretty much every single day, so it's awesome to unlock additional content like Hunter x Hunter. I mean, I'm paying for a subscription to Netflix, so why can't I get access to the full library? So, for example, if you're in the US and you want to watch content that isn't available in the US but is available in Japan, then all you have to do is set your location to Japan. And last but not least, one of my favorite hobbies is playing video games. So if I use ExpressVPN, I can unlock games like Lost Ark that have been released in Asia but haven't been released in America yet. So it's like, take your pick. There are so many reasons to use a VPN. You can get 3 extra months for free by going to expressvpn.com/rslash. Scan the QR code shown here. Am I the butthole for telling my parents that they could be a part of my kids' lives if they gave me my inheritance? My grandparents passed away when I was very young. They left me an inheritance that would have paid for my education and helped me get started in life. If my parents had left the money alone, I would be in a good place. My cousins and older sister are all debt-free and they own their own homes. My dad decided that he could do better than the account that my grandfather left the money in. I got $27,000 when I was old enough to get my money. That's about 10% of what everyone else got. My parents also lost a bunch of money that had been left to my mom. I've cut my parents out of my life. They were not invited to my wedding, and they have not met my kids. My sister is child-free, so I have their only grandchildren. My parents want to be a part of their lives. I said that if they replaced my money with interest, I would forgive them and allow them to meet my kids. They said that I'm being ridiculous, and that the amount of money I'm asking for would put a huge dent in their retirement fund. What? I asked them how much they would have if my idiot father didn't think that he knew better than my grandfather. My sister thinks that I'm being mean. I told her that she was welcome to give me her money if she didn't think it was a factor. She said she wasn't going to do that. I also suggested that she go have a kid if she wants them to have grandchildren. Once again, that wasn't an option. It's been years, obviously, and I'm still pissed that they stole my future just for my father's ego, to show that he could turn a profit investing like my grandfather had. Yo, 10% from $27,000, that's $270,000 minus the 27 comes out to roughly $250,000 that your dad stole from you. And only from you. What's so weird about this is if your dad lost $250K, why didn't he share the burden between you and your sister? Why is it that only you have to share that burden? This is, OP, this is so scummy. What your dad did, what your mom allowed your dad to do, and now your sister is writing your case because of what your dad did. I'm pissed off. This is pissing me off. Your family stole $250,000 from you, and you're supposed to be like, oh well, would have been nice to have that money, but what can you do? Things happen. All right, hold on. Let me math this out. Grandparents passed away when I was very young. Let's just guess 5 years old. Let's assume that OP is about 20 based on the way he's writing. This is like major guesswork here. So that's 15 years. So that's 15 years ago. So if I type in $250,000 invested in 2009 is worth how much today? Wow, okay. If this is correct, then if the dad had just left that money invested at a 7% return, then OP would have had just shy of $700,000. The exact figure is $689K. OP, if I were in your shoes, I would never be in the same room as your dad for the rest of my life. That is a life-changing amount of money. And he squandered it over and over and over repeatedly, effectively ruining your life and your grandfather's legacy. OP, I'm giving you 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving your dad, I think 4.5 out of 5 buttholes. Maybe 5 out of 5? I try to keep that only for kid diddlers, but this is a lot of money. I might go for 5 out of 5 here. Am I the butthole for leaving my sister's wedding early after she called my career a hobby? So I'm a 26-year-old woman, and I just got back from my 28-year-old sister's wedding last weekend, and I'm still pretty upset about what happened. So my sister Anna and I have always had a complicated relationship. She's the type A, always on top of everything, super successful one, while I've always been more of a laid-back creative. I'm an artist, and I recently started my own small business selling my paintings and doing commissions. It's been slow, but it's starting to pick up, and I'm really proud of it. But my family, especially Anna, has always been a bit dismissive of my career choice. They don't get why I didn't go the traditional route like she did. Anyways, fast forward to the wedding. The ceremony was beautiful, and I was honestly so happy for her. I even helped out a lot with the planning, even though I wasn't the maid of honor. That was her best friend. I was doing my best to be there for her because despite everything, she's my sister and I love her. At the reception, I finally got a moment alone with Anna to congratulate her. I told her how amazing everything was, how happy I was for her, all that stuff. And she just smiles and says, "Thanks, I'm surprised you actually made it. I figured you'd be too busy with your little hobby business." I was stunned. Did she really just call my career a hobby? I kinda laughed it off and said, "It's not a hobby, it's my job." But she just shrugged and said, "Well, it's not a real job, but I'm glad you're having fun with it." I didn't know what to say, so I just walked away. I tried to enjoy the rest of the night, but honestly, I couldn't shake what she said. It felt like she was belittling everything I've been working so hard for. So after dinner, I just decided to leave. I didn't say goodbye to her or anyone. I just grabbed my stuff and left. Now, my mom is furious with me for ruining the night by leaving early, and Anna hasn't spoken to me since. My dad is trying to stay neutral, but he did say that I might have overreacted. I don't know, maybe I did, but it really hurt hearing her say that, especially on her wedding day when I was just trying to support her. So, am I the butthole? Huh? Well, the way that you wrote this story makes it sound like that was the first sentence she spoke to you, was her degrading your business. What's even the point of making a jab like that? OP, your sister is mean. I'm giving your sister 1 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving you 0 out of 5 buttholes. Am I the butthole for postponing our wedding because my fiance wants to have pictures of her late husband in it? My fiance and I have been together for about 3 years. We got engaged 6 months ago. We were doing some planning, and she mentioned, "Where do you think pictures of my late husband should go?" I was confused and asked her to clarify. She said that she wants her late husband's picture at the wedding. She went into more detail at my request. She wants one of the bridesmaids to hold his picture during the ceremony, as well as having his picture on our table. And when taking pictures, she wants to hold him in most pictures. I told her that I did not want that, and while I understand that he's important to her, I'd feel uncomfortable with his pictures in our wedding, especially when they're so prominent. We got into a fight and she yelled, "I can't believe you're jealous. He's effing dead. What do you think, I'm gonna F him at our wedding?" I decided to postpone the wedding, and honestly, I'm thinking of calling it off altogether. OP, this is super weird, and it kinda sounds like where she really wants you to hold the picture is right in front of your face, so in all the pictures, it looks like she's marrying her dead husband. I'm giving you 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving your fiance 1.5 out of 5 buttholes. Will I be the butthole for breaking up with my girlfriend because of what her dead boyfriend's dad said to me? My girlfriend's last boyfriend died in a car crash some years ago. My girlfriend told me about this when we became official. Now, she's still close to her dead boyfriend's mom and dad, and she wanted to introduce me to them. I thought it'd be awkward, but I decided to go along with it. After all, she mentioned that she considers them just like her own parents. We visited them a few times, and the dad made comments. One time, the dad talks about how manly his son was, how he used to work on cars, how you could always tell that he was a real man because his hands were always dirty. He asked me what I did for work, and I work as an accountant. He said, "Yeah, I could tell it was something like that. Your hands haven't seen any real work." It's been like this every time we visit them. He mentions how great his son is at something, and then asks me something, then says how unmanly I am. I've talked to my girlfriend about it, but she says that I'm just being insecure, and I shouldn't feel threatened by it. I told her that I don't want to visit them anymore, and we got into a pretty big fight. She said that maybe the dad is right, and I do need to be more manly. Yes, OP, be more manly, stand up for yourself, and stop taking this crap. Just dump her, OP. I'm giving you 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving the dad in this 1.5 out of 5 buttholes. The top comment from Electrical Dig. Be more assertive. Okay, I'm not going to hang out with the people who insult me anymore. Not like that! Am I the butthole for taking my clothes off at the Cheesecake Factory? So I'm a 23-year-old woman and my boyfriend is 24. We were celebrating our 1-year anniversary and went out to dinner to celebrate. My boyfriend planned it because he knows how much I love Cheesecake Factory. I really love their cheesecake. This becomes important later. Well, everything was going fine and we were having a good time until an elderly man at the next table scooted his chair out just as our server was approaching, causing our server to stumble and spill hot coffee on me down my back. It was obviously burning and it startled me, so I instinctively screamed and pulled my shirt up. I'm pretty small-chested, so I don't typically wear a bra, and obviously I wasn't thinking about that when something hot was running down my back burning me. So I basically flashed everyone at the tables around us. Yeah, I was embarrassed, but at the same time it's just boobs. I pulled my shirt back down right after realizing what happened, but it was up for about 15 seconds. The server apologized over and over, but it wasn't their fault, it was all just an accident. Well, anyways, after this, my boyfriend wanted to leave. Like, immediately leave. He said that I was being overdramatic for the way I reacted in the situation, and maybe I was, but it did startle me really bad, and it did burn. He told me that I put on a show for everyone in the restaurant, especially since I screamed when it happened and that we need to leave. I told him it's not that big of a deal, and that I really want to stay and get cheesecake because it's my favorite. I eventually even offered to try to get some to go, but he was dead set that we need to leave, and didn't understand why I wasn't mortified. We ended up staying, but for the rest of the date, he kept saying that the men at tables near us were staring at me, and probably thinking about me inappropriately, but I said that it wasn't my problem if they're being gross. When we got to the car, he told me that I ruined our anniversary for making him sit through that, and we should have just left, and that he can't believe that I would choose a piece of cheesecake over his comfort. We argued in the car the whole way home about it, and now we haven't spoken at all today. Am I the butthole? Alright, so first off, if your boyfriend's clothes was scalding his testicles, then I guarantee you he would have whipped his pants off. Also, the real red flag here isn't that he wanted to leave afterwards. It's that you got burned and his biggest concern was that random people saw your boobs for 10 seconds. If he was really a caring boyfriend, he'd be worried about the burn because coffee burns can actually cause real physical damage to your skin. But instead of being concerned, he was just being jealous. OP, I'm giving you 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving your boyfriend 1.5 out of 5 buttholes. Am I the butthole for what I said when my parents announced they were having another baby? My parents have 7 kids. There's me, a 16-year-old boy, Kayla, a 13-year-old girl, Robin, a 12-year-old boy, Sam, a 10-year-old boy, Lacey, an 8-year-old girl, Zoe, a 6-year-old girl, and Robbie, a 4-year-old boy. They only ever intended to have 2 kids, and even with me and Kayla alone, they still struggle. My parents don't have great jobs. We never had much space in our house to begin with, and now we're all crammed in. I started working at 13, wow, to get money so I could pay for stuff I needed, like a laptop, which I didn't have access to when my school first shut down. We didn't even have internet then. My parents swore they were done with Robbie and they'd get us back on track and that I wouldn't need to work just to pay for stuff that I needed for school. The weight of being the oldest is already a lot, and I have paid for stuff before. I babysit so my parents can work nights or get a break. I take care of the house most days so they can focus on earning money. But it's a lot, and we're really too big of a family for what we can actually afford. My parents get help from the government, but it doesn't go far because they're not good with money or buying groceries. When no baby came right after Robbie, I thought they were serious and I started to think about my future. I'd love to learn to cook better and work in a restaurant. Not college exactly, because we could never afford it, and my grades aren't good enough, but it is something. Then, Monday, my parents sat us down and told us they're having another baby, and mom is like 14 weeks pregnant. They knew for 7 weeks and didn't want to tell us until they were ready. My siblings were mostly surprised, but me, I said, not again. I think I even cried a little, which caught me off guard because I'm not a crier usually. This was apparently enough to break me though. My parents got so angry at me and told me to check my attitude. I told them they gave me this attitude by being so reckless and putting so much on me. And now they've broken their promise and we're going to struggle even more than before. They told me to stop acting like they're doing something to me, that accidents happen and that they'd never abort, even if they could. They told me to focus on making things okay and less on being so negative. I know people say that having money isn't as important as long as you have a loving family, and maybe that is true for some people. But my family feels like a weight that I have to carry and not something that I'm blessed with. They're a responsibility on me, a burden, really. And maybe that's awful to say, but it's how I really feel. I hate worrying about what'll happen if they can't afford the bills, or if my laptop breaks and I can't afford to fix it or get a new one. Or what if we can't afford food, or we can, but I have to pay for groceries instead of save my money? Am I the butthole? Wow, I really like this comment from OK Hovercraft, who has a great way of looking at this. Not the butthole. This is a no-win situation. You don't have to ever babysit your siblings. That is not your responsibility. But then, if you didn't babysit, there would be less money to feed the kids. Essentially, there are 3 parents in this household, and 2 of them are acting very irresponsible, which is increasing the workload of parent number 3. You should consider enlisting in the Air Force or the Navy when you're old enough. Even a good line cook won't allow you an income to leave home, so that's a trap where you still live at home and be pressured to watch the kids. Study hard for the ASVAB and get a high score so you can get good training for a skilled job. Then enlist for 4 to 6 years, whatever the minimum is. Then get out and go into government contracting. There's good money there, and it's fairly safe in terms of job security. Alright, this is actually super good advice. As someone who lives in the DC area, I can say that yes, government contracting is very lucrative, relatively easy to get into if you know the right path, and it's super stable. So this advice is just phenomenal. Anyways, OP, I'm giving you 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving your parents 2.5 out of 5 buttholes. That was r/. Am I the Butthole? And if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day.